Okay, so on to the next initiative. UCM could do with this. And they're all on that one. So they scored 5. See what the Scourge score. 6. Always the same, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to activate this group first. So there are Scourge infantry in there. So the first thing that I'm going to do is search to see if I find an objective. We'll say it's a medium-sized building, not normal. So turn of occupancy. This is their first round. It's the first round they've started in there with no one else in there. So to find the objective, because obviously it's a tower block, they need to roll a 5+. Nope. Let's roll the dice off the tabletop. So they don't. So they're still searching for that objective. Excuse me. However, Invader APCs are going to move. Now then, down here, he's going to start nipping down there to that one. So he's going to move full distance. The guys can't jump out yet. They can next turn. And the dropship is going to float that way, primarily, and he's going to land. Now that's basically waiting for his troops to do their job and get back to him. Obviously, the Scourge escape with 2 objectives there. They're going to win the game outright. So, gets to the UCM's turn. I think they're going to do the. Are they going to do the same? No, they're not going to do the same. They're actually going to activate this battle group here. Okay, so we have 3 tanks are going to shoot before they move. So we've got 3 tanks here. Avenger railguns again, needing 4s. So we hit once. Now an Avenger railgun is energy 10. And a Scourge vehicle is only armour 8, so a 3+ destroys 1. So that's 1 gone. So in that instance we just take a tank off. So they blow a tank up. Missile pod obviously cannot hurt them there. They're now going to move up to half distance. So what they're going to do is scoot around into this position. Now the reason I've done that is because if you have one tank obscured behind another one, it can't be shot at. Okay, so your own tanks block line of sight for the enemy. Now, their dropship is still floating around, so he's going to scoot over there, his full distance, like that. I mean, that's very, very dangerous, isn't it, actually? So he's gonna he's gonna fall back slightly, ready to pick up men, so to speak. So, next one. Moving on to Scourge again, we're going to go to their tank squadrons. Now the Scourge have to move to gain the additional 2+ to hit from the enemy. So they're going to move first to slightly shift back, and it lasts for the full turn. Their dropship has gone, so they're going to have 2 shots at the tanks. Now, as we go back, just to recap for everybody. We look at a Scourge Hunter, it has 1 shot hitting on a 2+. Okay, so energy 11, 12 inches against a counter-measured vehicle. So we look down there, that's easily 12 inches. So 2 shots, 1 hit. It's energy 11 against armour 10. So if we look on there, armour 10, energy 11 is a 4+ to do a damage point. So if we look down there, we score a 5, removing a tank from the game. So as you can see, it plays rapidly. There's no, it's brutal and horrific when it gets going, and it just looks cool. There's no ifs or buts. So UCM's turn. I've got 1 dropship unfortunately over there with nothing to pick up anymore. So he's just going to float around. So we'll activate these guys. They're going to search this building, which is a smaller building. So we will call this a small building where they need a 4+ to find the objective. And they found it. Okay, so the objective is now with the unit, meaning that you stand on top of them, whatever you want to do. Next turn, they can actually leave with that objective into their APC and begin extraction. So that squad's doing their job. The bear, he's a bit stuck, isn't he? The second bear, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? He's actually going to fall back here and wait to be picked up, I think. So, onto the Scourge's activation, next activation. all that they have left is the anti-air support. Their dropship's going to fly away just for cover. Cover your dropships is always a good idea, and their tanks are going to they're going to float slightly to the side. Now, difficult ground, it does affect movement. It halves a lot of movement, and it can affect the game massively. So they're only going to shuffle to the side, and we're going to try and anti-aircraft that dropship. If we look at anti-aircraft, movement 5 of 9 with a 9-inch range against countermeasures, so I do believe they're going to be out of range. Yeah, massively out of range. So he's escaped with that one. So again, that's another turn done. It's now time for initiative. So if we say UCM, score a 2, Scourge score a 2, in the case of a tie you reroll, UCM 6, Scourge 6, here we go, UCM 2, Scourge 2, and just keep rolling, UCM have initiative, there we go. So, the first thing I'm going to do as a UCM commander, in this instance, my troops with this objective are going to exit and get back in their APC, okay? So, that objective is now with the APC. The troops jump and get back in the tank, and the tanks, being within 3 inch, both going to get picked up by the dropship. Okay, now the objectives with that, the dropship can still move up to half distance. So if we look at UCM Condor, it's a move of 18, so I can still move 9, and it just takes 2 for me to take off. So I'm going to take off, it flies down back. You don't have to take them off the fly stands, guys, it just looks cool. That's all it is. So he's going to take off for 2. They've still got the objective, and we want to be out of range of them, don't we? He's going to move 7 inches to there, taking the objective with him. So currently, although the UCM look like they're getting a drubbing, which they are in the open field, which you will get a drubbing against the Scourge in the open field because they're high energy, high damage at a short range, they are actually winning. So Scourge activation, we know that he's going to have to fly over there, so these guys are going to activate and just position themselves just a bit better like that for next go. Their dropship is going to still float around, just move like that. Goes over to the UCM's activation again. We're going to Avenger railguns. We're going to shift slightly like that, and we're going to have 2 shots of the Scourge. So they're difficult to hit, but when you hit them, you hurt them. And I've hit one of them with a 5. So again, if we look down, their armour is 8 and my energy is 10. I need a 3+ to destroy one. So a 6 there would have caused 2 damage points. They've only got 1 damage point, so another Scourge tank's blown to pieces. Their dropship is going to float around, and he's actually going to land behind them. Okay, so onto the Scourge turn. So they have an option, they can either activate their infantry, start moving into the buildings, or they can activate that 1 lone tank. We'll do the infantry. So the infantry over there, we have infantry in a large structure again. It's now, no, they've actually been, haven't they? We can activate that 1 lone tank. So he's going to shoot at another tank, and then he's going to move out of the way. So we'll see if he scores a hit, which he does just, and see if he scores any damage. We're energy 11 against armour 10. So it's a 4+ to score points of damage. And this time he doesn't. So he's now going to up to half inch, half movement, back away. Back away. So as you can see, Scourge, once you hit them, you're going to hurt them. Don't let them hit you. Be all end all of it. So we're on to the initiative phase again. I can't remember if I've done those infantry or not. In fact, I don't believe I have, because that APC over there. So UCM over here is going to float another dropship around here, just for the sake of doing it. And it's Scourge infantry. So in that building there, let's see if they can find something this time. So in a normal building, this turn, second turn of occupancy is 4+. They still haven't found the objective. And then over here, the Scourge are going to pour out of that APC into this building. Again, they have to search for the actual objective. And obviously at the beginning of the game, guys, agree with your opponent what buildings are large, which buildings, what they do, so on and so forth. Okay, so the Scourge look like they may nip this if they do find the objectives. So we now move on to initiative again. So D6 each. The Scourge has got a 1. The UCM's got a 6. So the UCM are taking the initiative again. This is where as well a good commander in your vehicle can really make the difference. So you're adding a 5 or a 6 to your roll every turn. You know you're soon going to be out strategizing, so to speak. So what we're going to do is potentially try and take down the anti-air. Now, vehicles in a crater are obscured, okay, so they are slightly harder to hit, but we're going to shift slightly around the corner, and try 2 Avenger railguns at them. Okay, so if we're going on to here, when we look at the Avenger, it's normally hitting on a 2+, it's 24-inch countermeasure, so it's well within range. Scourge are skimmers, so we're now hitting on a 4+, unfortunately. And if we look at cover in the book, I mean, again, you would agree with your opponent what your cover is going to be. So, and everything in here is really set out fantastically well. It just tells you exactly everything in layman's terms. So, scenery in general, controls, features. So we'd say, what would you call that? Poor ground? No. Barrier ground. It's not barrier ground, it doesn't stop anything. Character battlefield, blah blah blah. Like things like that, small features don't do anything. Just they ain't gonna affect anything when the tanks are massive, you know. Insubstantial area feature, no. Exceptional ground, good ground. Here we go. We have blocks line of sight, which it doesn't. It's body cover, so any infantry in the crater would gain +1 to the roll required to damage against them to a maximum of 6+. Soft cover, which we say provides no physical protection but can obscure a target, making it more difficult to hit. Soft cover can obscure units behind or in it. Any weapon firing against such an obscured vehicle suffers a +2 modifier to their AC to a maximum of 6+. So, normally hitting on 2+, +2 for the cover, +2 for skimmers. Unfortunately, they're hitting on 6s, but we do need to try and get rid of them. So, both miss, unfortunately. So they're quite difficult to hit because they're positioned in that instance. Their dropship has landed, hasn't it? So it's just going to stay on the ground. It floats back over to Scourge turn 1, activation 1, should we say? What are we going to do? I'm going to activate this lone grav tank. He's going to move slightly like that, and he's going to open up into the anti-air because he doesn't need to risk the anti-air getting rid of 2, I believe. Just check again. 2+ on the accuracy roll. So it's not your troops that they don't have a ballistic skill or anything like that. Each weapon has a to hit roll. Accuracy 2+, scores a hit. Energy 11, I'm well within 9 inches. Armour 10, energy 11 is a 4+, 2 cause a damage point. So he does actually blow another tank up. So he takes it off. There's a lone tank there, needing 6s to hit anti-aircraft Scourge tanks, oh dear. So, moving on to UCM, the next turn. We really need to get into that building, don't we? So, what we're going to do, I want to try and demonstrate some sort of close combat. So I think we're going to actually fly full distance to there. Ooh, yeah, he's going to go to there and sit behind his friend, ready for next turn. So now flows over to Scourge activation. Their anti-aircraft really needs to move. They're a half movement penalty, so they can move 4 inches. So if we go 4 inches that away, they only have a 9-inch range, so they're actually out of range. So that was actually quite a good tactical move. It's all about how quick your dropship's bringing, as you're probably noticing. It floats back over to the UCM's final activation, which unfortunately for them is just a lone dropship, who's just going to float around. He can't really do much, unfortunately. He could harass your infantry if they're out in the open, things like that. So, moving over to Scourge, there are 2 units in there. We go to the building. They need a 3+ to find. They're in there now. It becomes easier as they assume they get through the buildings. They've found their objective, and the chaps over there need a 3+ as well, so they still haven't found their objective. So this is where the UCM really could do with grabbing their initiative. So initiative roll, UCM 5, Scourge 4. Well, I don't know why I don't roll like this when I'm playing Stew. Okay, so this is where as a general you think, alright, I need to do something about that. Okay, so I can send my men into that building to start attacking those troops. However, do I send all of them in, or do I try and split them up? And I think I'm going to try and split them up. Now, I'll just float around the side. I can go 7 and land. So 7 and land will put me there. We'll land for 2 and drop the APCs off. Now then, this is where we really need to be accurate as best we can. So this one is going to be there when it unloads. Second one's going to be there, and of course they have an objective, so he's going to take the objective with that one. They're going to jump out. Buildings, we assume our buildings have access on street level, so they're going to now enter the building. So this Legionnaire squad is now going to be in the same building as the Scourge squad. Ooh, ready for some close quarters combat. That's the idea anyway. So we put all the miniatures in the same building, like this. So they're working their way up the building. Close quarters combat happens at the beginning of the turn, next turn. So this APC, they're not the fastest things in the world, bears. Have a look. Down here, bear APC. Movement 6. Disengage from a transport, so it can only move 3. Now we just assume cars can just get smashed out of the way. He's bombing over us to try and stop these Scourge. So it now floats over to Scourge turn. Scourge infantry is gone, Scourge anti-air is gone, Scourge everything is gone. That is the end of the turn. So it's now a clean-up stage. Okay, so close quarters combat isn't fought at the instant, it's fought at the beginning of the turn. So because it's brutal and bloody and quite horrific, it is a very quick pace system. What we do, excuse me, each base has a wound profile. So each base with 5 men has 5 wounds. Wow. So what we do, we get your total dice. First of all, you total up the number of dice. So if we look at, I'll bring my trusty book over. Let's do the Legionnaires first of all. Colonial Legionnaire squad. Close quarter battle, a value of 1, which means that for every remaining damage point they add 1 dice to their pool. So we have 1 base, 2 base, 3 base, so 15 dice. Okay, the Scourge, same principle, we add them together. Close quarter combat of 1. So as you see, the Scourge and the UCM are actually quite balanced in room to room combat. So again, they're going to have a good old 15 dice. So if you imagine, they're the attacks that are generated. 2 pools. Now, we now flip those attacks across, so obviously they're going to go on the Scourge. These guys are going to go on the UCM. So, we look at Scourge Warriors have an armour of 2. Wow. And Colonial Legionnaires have an armour of 2. Now in close quarter battle, because you're fighting rooms, throwing grenades through doors, things like that, Hawk have simplified it to a close quarter battle damage table. Okay? When the enemy armour is 2, you need a 4+ to cause a point of damage. So you switch dice across. I'm going to say, on the UCM forces, 4s. So just chuck all your dice. They are negated. So put damage up here. On the Scourge, 4s again. Oh, that's not so good. Now, in this instance, neither base has got any form of countermeasures. Now, some things have essentially a save. If we just take a quick look at Post-Human Republic, some things have what's called a dodge save. So, for example, Siren Corps, their close quarter battle is 5, so each base would have 15 to the dice roll, and they have a 2+ dodge save. So if I were fighting Siren Corps, it could roll all those dice on 2s to negate the damage point. We're not fighting Siren Corps, we're fighting Scourge and such like. So 5 damage on the Scourge, removes a base. However, 5, 6, 7, 8 removes a base, leaves a base on 2. Now then, you think to yourself, well, that's horrific, there's loads of people have died. So of course, anyone that is reduced to, as it shows on here, anyone that is reduced to less than 50% of their starting hit points need to make a morale check, which is based on their fear value. So again, it's the UCM unfortunate chaps that need to make a roll. At the end of the day, they are fighting Scourge in close quarters. If we look at their F value, is a 3+, so they're pretty hardy, well trained. So we need a 3+, or they have to fall back. 6, they're fine, they aren't running from any filth. So they're going to continue fighting in that building. At the beginning of each turn, they're currently engaged, fighting away. So now it goes to standard initiative. That's close quarter combat. It's quite simple. People get a bit confused by it, but it is very simple. Obviously now dice rolling will be different in the next turns, but we will get onto that as we go. So we roll for initiative again. UCM score a 5, Scourge score a 2. I think UCM have had the initiative, haven't they, for almost all game. What are we going to do? Their infantry in there are fighting, so I am going to initiate the infantry first. They're busy, so they don't take part, but this bear here is going to float around to there, and this unit of legionnaires are going to jump in this building. So obviously we're now giving the Scourge something to think about. They can't just happily find the objectives and leave. As you might have noticed, the game is won and lost with infantry. You can destroy as many tanks as you want. Without your infantry in the right place at the right time, you're in big trouble. So, first 3 bases, power in there, they're running up the stairs while the Scourge lay traps for them, whatever you like. There's going to be close quarter battle there next turn. So, their dropship's still landed. It cannot shoot at anything because it can't see anything essentially. It's now the Scourge's turn. Now then, the Scourge are going to... what we're going to do? I'm going to activate that 1 grav tank. He's going to float around, he's going to have a pop at him. So, simple as that. Try and take down what can destroy the Scourge's anti-air. So, again, its accuracy value is a 2+. About time too. He's missed. So shot wheels past, takes a bit of a building out, but if you like. Just so you know, guys, as well, you can actually blow buildings up, so you can shoot at buildings. I've seen some people playing the game where, say for example, the Scourge have their objective over there quite happily. I just found it. You can activate, some weapons have a demolisher value, which means they can blow any weapon can damage a building. For example, structural stat sheet. So a normal building, normal is armor 6 with 20 damage points. Which is, yeah, quite nasty. So, but we might not get onto that in this basics. So, we're now looking at 2 objectives are actually in this building now, because they brought that one with them. So that is going to decide the game. It's now the Scourges go. So it's now the UCMs go. A bit confused playing by myself. Well, I think we're going to try and take out their remaining tank. It's easier to hit for a start. Needing a 4+, which I hit, and it's also slightly easier to damage. Again, if we look at it again, they're armor 8, energy 10, so I do need a 3+. Blows it to pieces. Okay, so the Scourge anti-armor's gone. So their dropship's still landed, that's fine. He's actually a harder target for them to hit landed than he is in the air, as daft as it sounds, because they have air guidance and things like that. Moving on to the Scourge's turn. Their infantry is obviously all engaged. Their APCs are waiting, so these chaps are going to float across to try and offer some sort of anti-aircraft, anti-air protection. And they're going to try, they might as well try and shoot at him. Oh, just out of range, unfortunately, centre, so no range there. Their dropship's just going to float around here, ready to rapidly pick them up, hopefully. Infantry's gone, their tanks are now dead. UCM, final dropship's going to just float over here. You never know. Everything else has landed. It's now the end of the turn. Okay, so I'll come back in the next part. I hope you're enjoying it, guys. As always, comment, rate, subscribe. Any questions, feel free to ask.